So what happens when you buy the world's craziest knife steel? I have not had a Spyderco box come in the mail for quite some time. I'm nervous. Am I gonna be able to sharpen this thing? Here we are. All right, is it sharp? I would say that that's sharp. It's not like ultimate levels of sharp. It is popping hairs. You need to do a video on the proper sharpening techniques for this steel. A lot of people are struggling with. Spyderco didn't do these well. Mine was horrible. I ended with 17 degrees per side micro bevel. Still not very sharp. We'll cut paper, but with effort. Unhappy with edge.
Again, the knife wouldn't shave my arm hair. He tried sharpening it and also had the same result.
Super steels are the perfect solution to the problem no one ever had. But yeah, can't wait to try this guy out. And we try one of the most bizarre knife tests we've ever seen. So is any of this actually true, especially when applied to the world's craziest knife steel, Rex 121, the hardest, most wear-resistant steel ever created? Can it be sharpened? Will the blade explode the second you do any harder cuts with it? Is it chippy? What's the real-world difference between a super hard super steel like this and a regular old boring stainless like VG10 for instance? Well, today we find out, because this is some ultra weird stuff. But first, what is Rex 121? Well, Rex 121 is a high-speed powdered metallurgy extreme high hardness tool steel developed by the now defunct Crucible Industries. Yes, that's correct. To my knowledge, it's no longer being made. Yeah, leave it to this guy to talk about a steel that they stopped making. So I'm pretty certain that Rex 121 is no longer being made, at least not by Crucible. What I don't know is that Spyderco, who I have no affiliation with at the time of this video, is still releasing knives with Rex 121. In fact, during the filming of this video, they released, I think, a sprint run in Rex 121. And they also have, I think, the Sage 6 in Rex 121. What I don't know is where exactly people are getting the steel if it's no longer being made. I don't know if this is new old stock, but I am fairly certain at the time of this video, and I could always be wrong, that Rex 121 is no longer in production. So perhaps new old stock, I don't know, but let's get back to the video. Now I will leave some links to what is left of these below, but be ready for some sticker shock because I paid a lot of my own money for this knife. For what it is, a Sage 5 with Rex 121. So what about that extreme hardness, you say? There we go, 70, actually 70.6 maybe? That is some hard stuff. So I'm not going to get into all of the nuances of HRC testing in this video, but to sum it up, Rockwell hardness testing measures how deep a cone-shaped diamond indenter penetrates into a piece of steel under a fixed load. You can see how in this image, a piece of VG10 at 59 HRC has a much larger indentation than our Rex 121 does at 70 plus HRC. Now it's important to note that due to the cone-shaped indenter, the HRC scale is not linear, because the further the cone penetrates, the more steel has to move out of the way. If you want to do a linear conversion, you need to convert the Rockwell hardness C scale to the Vickers scale, which is a linear scale, and figure out the percentage increase from there. So unless I screwed this up, which I very well may have, and I will hear about it in the comments, and I'll put the fix in the pinned comment. Going from our VG10 blade here at 59 HRC to our Rex 121 blade here at around 70 plus HRC, would be about a 59.6 increase in hardness. Now, if you're curious about more info on Rockwell hardness testing, I'll leave a link to a video down below to help explain it a little bit better. So how does this crazy steel do in terms of edge retention? Now this is extremely interesting. This actually blew my mind as I was sitting at the computer later figuring out these numbers. So quick note here, we're actually doing all of this backwards. I did all of this edge retention stuff after I already did a bunch of geometry and sharpening testing with the knife. So the knife had plenty of sharpenings on it to get rid of any weird edge on it that was from the factory, which we'll get to in a second. The edge retention testing was done with both knives sharpened at 17 degrees per side on a fixed angle sharp ball system. But again, we're gonna come back to the sharpening stuff in 1 second, which was weird. Definitely stay tuned for that. Now I did some fine edge retention testing, and I did this before I looked up the exact data from people who have done this stuff before. I wanted this to be as blind of a test as I possibly could. Now I did 4 cuts with VG10 in this cardboard before it stopped biting into my line. Now on the Rex 121, I did 12 cuts before it stopped biting into the line. This is not a super scientific test, but it gives us a rough idea. That being said, check this out. If we go to the Knife Steel Nerds edge retention chart, which I will link below, definitely go check out Knife Steel Nerds, and we look at the VG10, we follow the chart down to about 59 HRC. That's how this chart works. We can follow the chart down to a specific hardness and get the predicted edge retention data. It looks like VG10 would score about 425 cuts at around 59 HRC. Now if we look at Rex 121 at 70.5 HRC, we're getting a touch over 1,150 cuts. So this equals about a 170% increase in terms of edge retention between these two knives. So how does this compare to our fine edge retention test that we just did? Well, in my test, 4 cuts for VG10 at 59 HRC to 12 cuts for Rex 121 at 70.6 HRC gave us about a 200% increase in edge retention. Now this is actually surprisingly close to what the Knife Steel Nerds chart says that it should be, especially considering my fine edge retention test isn't the most precise test. So edge retention wise, I think that everything that you've heard about this steel is true. This thing is an absolute edge retention beast. Now this is if you can sharpen it. So how do you sharpen it? So now let's travel back in time to when I first opened the box, looked at the factory edge, and then looked at it under magnification. Now this gives us yet another very interesting image. In this image of the factory edge, we can see that we have a very weird looking edge. We have a lot of these little kind of weird dots poking out of the steel. These are the carbides, while the surrounding steel matrix has been somewhat worn away. Now this tells me that these knives were most likely not sharpened on diamond, since whatever abrasive was used wasn't really hard enough to cut or braid the carbides at the same rate as the surrounding steel matrix. More on this in a minute. Now I immediately resharpened the edge to start doing some testing with known geometry. But I ran into a problem. That problem was that I experienced some chipping issues doing some very basic cardboard cutting tasks. I ended up reprofiling to a bunch of different angles until finally, after removing quite a lot of steel, I mean a bunch of steel, reprofiled a bunch of times, the chipping issues somewhat subsided, and I was able to finally go back and reprofile again to 17 degrees per side with minimal chipping issues. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that most likely you'll need to really remove some material from the apex of this knife in order for this steel to behave somewhat normally. I believe again this may be caused by high-speed belt sharpening from the factory. In my opinion, in order for this steel to come up to its fullest potential, you'll not only need to remove some of the factory apex due to steel fatigue and or heating issues, but you'll also need diamonds. So in order to sharpen this knife at 70 plus HRC, you will need diamond for the best results. Now the reason for that is an entire rabbit hole in and of itself. While technically speaking, ceramics, aluminum oxide, silicon carbide based stones are hard enough to cut 70 plus HRC, which I'll sort of demonstrate in a minute. They are not really hard enough to cut or abrade away the vanadium carbides within the steel, at least not very efficiently. As a note, this also applies to a whole lot of other steels as well, not just Rex 121. Now, can you sharpen this knife without diamond on more traditional non-diamond ceramic based stones? Well, I think that we're going to have to save that for another video. With that being said though, this knife sharpens very well and very easily with the correct diamond stones, strops, and grits. Now speaking of strops, if you want the absolute best of the best of proper abrasives, please check out today's video sponsor, KME, and their strop emulsions. They make videos like this possible. I've been using these things for years at this point and they are simply amazing, as you can see by getting this Rex 121 hair whittling sharp using just the 6/1 and 1/10 micron emulsion. Now that 6/1 and 1/10 micron are the initial strop progression that I'd recommend. If you can only pick up one, get the 6. If you can only get 2, get the 6 and 1. And if you can get all 3, you probably want to get the 6/1 and 1/10 micron. You can pick up the rest of these as you go. These things, from what I've seen, are the most potent strop emulsions that I have seen, the most potent stropping compounds that I've seen, period. They're absolutely packed with polycrystalline diamond and they cut insane. So yeah, don't just take my word for it. This is an absolute drop, the teeniest of teeniest drops on the edge of a knife. and then it dries, and you can see just how much diamond is in that tiny, tiny little drop. It's almost too much. So you don't put this stuff on your knife. You put it on your strop. I put it on the knife edge just so that you could see it easier. These guys are great people. If you want to support a good American company, definitely go check them out at the link below. Now again, we can make an entire video on the nuances of sharpening this steel, but what I found in my experimentation was that this steel works best with slightly finer grits. Now this may come as a surprise, but let me show you why. What I found was that with coarser grit apexes on Rex 121, it's very difficult to remove any burr without taking part of the apex with it. Now this image right here shows you a 325 grit burr, then stropped on a 9 micron strop. And what you end up seeing is a relatively rugged looking apex. This apex feels coarse, and it is. And in certain areas you can see where the apex has been completely broken off. Now this isn't really good. Even if we take this to a 6 micron KME emulsion, we still have these areas with broken apex, and you can feel these areas cutting stuff in with your fingers. Even down to 1 micron, we still haven't removed some of those flat, non-sharp areas due to that burr removal / chipping issue. Now, if we go back and take this to a 600 grit, we get a much thinner, smaller burr that takes away less of the apex when it's removed on a 6 micron strop. And we can further refine most of the apex going from 6 micron down to 1 micron. And then finally down to 1/10 micron will give you absolute, and I'm telling you, absolute hair whittling edges pretty much every time, no problem. Now, what about resin bonded stones? Well, I switched over to resin bonded diamond stones and took the apex to 3000 grit. And again, after looking at the apex right off of the stones, you'll see that we have points along the apex where we did form a burr on the stones, but as the burr was removed on the stones during the sharpening process, very small pieces of that apex went with it. So this again puts us into using strops, but in this case, we can skip the 6 micron strop and go right to the 1 micron KME emulsion. And essentially what this does is it puts us right back into what we did before with the 600 grit and then 6 and 1 micron strops. We basically have the same exact 1 micron apex regardless of how we get there, either with resin bonded stone progression or a strop progression. I think you really do need some refinement with the steel due to this issue. The burr just won't snap clean off like on a lot of other steels, and you're left refining that apex down after that occurs no matter what, whether that's with stones or strops. Now, a really cool thing that you can do here is because regular old chromium oxide, the green stuff, won't cut the carbides in this steel, you can actually go back after you strop with your 1 micron strop and lightly strop with a regular old green chromium oxide strop. And what this does is it actually wears away some of that surrounding steel matrix and leaves the carbide sticking proud or out of the steel. And what we have is a totally different edge characteristic, more reminiscent of a slightly coarser apex. Now, those extremely hard carbides are what's doing the cutting. This is actually something, again, we could focus an entire video on. But I think that what this does initially is show us how we can manipulate what's happening at the apex by changing the type of abrasive we're using with really cool steels like Rex 121. Overall, sharpening Rex 121, Maximate, or any of the other super high hardness super steels that everybody says is so hard to sharpen is actually super easy with the correct diamond abrasives. That is the absolute key. So real quick, just how fragile is this steel? Well, I wanted to put this into perspective. While Rex 121 does have extremely low toughness, the steel isn't going to shatter into a million pieces the second that you do anything with it. Now, to demonstrate just how resilient this edge can be, we can actually carve a brass rod at 17 degrees per side with very minimal to no damage along the apex. Now, comparing this with a steel like S7 tool steel at 60 HRC, which is some of the world's toughest knife steel, carving the same brass rod yields much worse results. Now, this is probably going to surprise a lot of you, but this is because the increased hardness on the Rex 121 gives the apex much more resistance to deformation, which for a lot of the stuff that you're going to use a knife of this size for, that resistance to apex deformation is going to be much better for edge stability. However, if we start to dig in and pry with that apex, we'll start to see more apex damage in the form of chipping. This is where that low toughness will come into play, where the S7 steel with its increased toughness will bend without a crack forming, the Rex 121 will break. And just to give you a final example of how hard Rex 121 is, it'll even score glass. Anyway, we could spend hours and hours doing experiments and talking about this steel and its unique properties. And I'm really excited to spend some real time using this steel out in the real world. And quite honestly, I think it's a shame that it's no longer being made. Hopefully it will be again in the future, but we'll see. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.